Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Attic, a weekly show about dark, interesting things going on the internet. I'm your host, Kaelyn Moore. So, last week I was talking about the new Hitman movie starring Glenn Powell and the wild true story about the Houston investigator who posed as a fake hitman. Well, I did a lot of Glenn Powell research as part of that episode. Very important. Critical research. And I looked at every Glenn Powell photo and video basically that I could find, which is when I came across this. Now, let me set this clip up for you. So, this is Glenn Powell on Jake Shane's podcast, Therapuss, and they're having this nice little chat when all of a sudden Glenn says, "Hey, do you want to hear a really crazy story? My little sister's friend went on a date with this guy. This guy was like super charming. She goes back to his apartment, and well, let's watch the clip."
"Hey, can I give you a massage?" And then
What?
as she got back to his apartment, she just started getting like weird vibes. She's like, something feels off. And he's like, "Can I give you a massage?" And she's like, "Sure." So she starts massaging her shoulders. She's kind of just feeling like everything's just feeling odd. And she's like, "I got to get out of here." And he gets a little weird. Like, "No, please don't leave. Sorry. Like, I'm weird, whatever it is." She leaves.
Great job, girl. By the way, following those spidey senses when a massage is on the table takes some commitment.
Her skin starts itching like crazy the next day. She goes to the doctor the next day, and he does a test on her skin. And it turns out that it's like a black market lotion that breaks down skin for human consumption. This man was rubbing lotion
Wait, I'm shaking.
on her body to eat her. So the doctor's like, "You got to give me this person's address, and you should call the police." They go to this guy's house, and he had several girls' bodies in the house.
So that's the most horrifying story I've ever heard. So I immediately went to the comments to see what other people were saying, and I noticed that a lot of people mentioned they had heard versions of this story before told by other people. Like this person here says, "I heard the same story, but it was a woman who told that on a podcast too, and she said that it was a friend too." And then another person says, "Why would you apply this lotion on conscious human? Makes more sense to make them unconscious and immobile first." Okay, someone put some thought into that. Someone else says, "I've heard this story in so many different versions, like the one where they kiss and she gets stuff on her lips, and then the doc says, 'Call the police, it's from someone kissing dead people.'" And someone else goes, "Not a creepypasta. Reptilians like to eat this time of human flesh battered in a special flour as well, before frying. Earth is a farm." Okay. So it turns out that Glenn had no idea this was actually a creepypasta. He thought the story was real, and that's basically how urban legends work. A friend tells a friend that another friend had an experience, and then one day we're all saying Bloody Mary in the bathroom mirror 3 times.
Bloody Mary.
By the way, if you're the type of person that likes to say Bloody Mary in the bathroom 3 times, then make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a darkly curious video of my creation. Anyways, seeing the Glenn Powell interview take this dark turn got me thinking about some other wild and dark stories that have come up in other celebrity podcast interviews, ones that aren't urban legends. And the first person I thought about was Miranda Cosgrove.
Interesting.
So we all know who Miranda Cosgrove is. She's like the sweetest person alive. Never forget this audio is from her.
Your
I do.
mom?
I actually do cuss a little.
Do you?
Also, yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Probably
Unfortunately, her success has attracted some very dark attention. In that same interview where she says her favorite cuss word, she shares this terrifying story.
I went on a bad date, and I was at the ArcLight, like seeing a movie with somebody. Afterwards, it was raining, and it never, hardly ever rains in LA. So I was kind of like, I don't want to go back to my place, even though my place is pretty close to ArcLight. And anyway, I went to my parents' house, and then I got a call at like 3 in the morning that somebody had like died at my house. And it was the weirdest thing ever because they had like caution tape up and, like it was right in my front yard. And basically, I guess a guy came and he was like burying things in my backyard for like 3 days. He buried a lunchbox with like a milk chocolate inside of it in my backyard. And then he buried like knives and like a rope and like a bunch of random stuff. And I guess he'd been in my backyard, like hanging out there and like burying things. Why I didn't notice, I don't know.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm so happy that nothing happened. I feel like, though, I have the same spidey senses that she has. Her spidey senses when it came to not going back into the house that night, 10 out of 10. Her spidey senses when it came to realizing someone was burying things in her backyard for several days, not good. But I get it. I feel like I can tell when something bad is going to happen, but at the same time, I feel like someone could change out all the furniture in my apartment and I wouldn't notice.
He was just like pacing in my backyard, I guess, and because I have like security cameras, so later when we looked, we figured out he was back there for like 6 hours or something, like waiting, and then somebody drove up that had a similar car, like that kind of looked like my car, and I guess he got confused and he thought that maybe it was me driving up. It's just like bad luck. And he like shot at this person like 6 times and he missed because she was in a car. She drove away. And then he set himself on fire and he shot himself simultaneously.
Okay, this is true nightmare fuel. I'm linking the full interview from the Whitney Cummings podcast below, as well as a TikTok where Miranda talks more about the security cam footage. But I just want to shout Miranda out for being so open about discussing this and sharing her experience. I know she's said in interviews that she has trouble staying at that house alone after that, and I don't blame her at all. I just did a podcast episode about an insane stalking situation that happened in Venezuela, and like, this stuff stays with you forever. And Miranda isn't the only celebrity with a truly terrifying experience she shared on a podcast. By the way, what is it about podcasts that makes celebrities feel like they can share their deepest, darkest tales? I don't know, but Glenn Powell, if you're watching this and you want to come on the Heart Starts Pounding podcast and tell more creepypastas, let me know. Gordy and I are great listeners. But this next celebrity story is one of the wildest I've ever heard. It was told on Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, which is a show notorious for getting people to open up, and that celebrity is Justin Long. You may know Justin from comedy classics like Dodgeball or his Mother's Day classic, Barbarian. Or you may know him for dating women who are more famous than he is, something he talks about a lot on the Dax Shepard podcast. But this story comes from the late 2000s when he was filming the movie Youth in Revolt in the small town of Birmingham, Michigan. So let's listen to it.
I came back to the bar and it's fairly empty, and it was my last night of shooting this movie. And I went out with one of the actresses and these 2 PAs, a guy and a girl. And of course, I go to the bar, get my 2 shots, and these guys sidle up next to me. I just remember the feeling of, this sounds so new agey, but they had this weird energy, the dark energy. Mm-hmm. And they said, what happened to you the other night, Mr. Big Shot? And I said, what do you mean? You guys were moved into some like fancy area? Like, this is our fucking bar, bro. And I said, of course I'm so, and they played right into my vulnerability, which was, I'm just like you. I grew up in a town like this. And I said, I'm so sorry. Let's do a shot together. And they're like, all right, man. And they must have sensed that was my weakness because they kept coming over to our table. And
okay, so there is a theme here with all of these stories, even the urban legend human meat tenderizing lotion one. If you get bad vibes, you should listen to the bad vibes and leave. Justin does not do that. So it's getting near the end of the night, and those same guys are like, hey, do you want to go to a casino? And it's just Justin and the 2 local production assistants, a guy and a girl, who they ask. And Justin apparently really likes playing blackjack and he's a little buzzed, so he says sure. And they all ride together in the guy's car. And again, Justin's trying to not be a Hollywood big shot. But on the way to the casino, supposedly, they stop by these guys' condo, and that's where it starts to get crazy. So basically, they break out a bong and they're like, dude, take a hit to prove you're not too cool for us.
I take a big hit of this, and the second it hits my mouth, I know the taste was kind of chemically, kind of clear tasting is the best way I can describe it. And my mind, I just remember the feeling of like immediately losing control of my body.
Yeah, so he takes a hit of what he later learns is probably PCP. So now he's high out of his mind in the home of some strangers, and what happens next? Well, Justin's really out of it. Like, he can't really talk. He can't really think straight. He's just generally freaking out, and it keeps getting worse. They put him in their car and they start driving him around, like acting like they're going to take him to the casino, but then driving off in a different direction into the middle of nowhere. They're like whispering to themselves in the front seat, and he's in the back with the 2 PAs, one of whom is also out of her mind on PCP or whatever was in the bong, and he thinks legitimately they're going to take him into the woods and kill him.
So then I saw a red light coming up, and there was no one. It's 3 a.m. Yeah. There's no one on the road. So I'm coming up to this red light, and I think, okay, I'm going to get out, and I'll just run to the whatever. And they go right through the red light.
Oh, they blew the red light.
Blew the red lights, stop signs. They turned the corner, and they're going about 35 miles. I open the door, and I jump out. And I'd seen it on TV and in the movies and all.
You just roll,
right? You roll. You don't land on your feet unless you're Spider-Man. So I rolled, and of course I rolled under the car, and they ran over my leg.
Okay, this is just so scary because I've also been in situations where I don't want to like impose or seem difficult. So I'll go along with something even if I'm not comfortable with it. Like one time I went into the building of an organization I will not name, and they kept asking me to take personality tests and get audited. And the next thing I know, I'm signed up for a 6-week course because I just wouldn't tell them no. So I think the lesson here is that if you get a bad feeling, you should listen to your gut. And if you have to be rude to get away, that's fine. Those people will live. It's better than accidentally smoking PCP and getting your leg run over by a car.
This is a gallon of PCP.
So, this story is insane. You have to go listen to the whole thing. I'm going to link it in the description, but it's episode 104 of Armchair Expert, and they say the story about an hour in. Okay, that's all I have for you today. If there's any crazy dark stuff that pops up on the internet and you're like, I would like to know more about that, you should tag me in it and send it my way because that's what I talk about here every week on YouTube Shorts and on my podcast. And if you know of any other incredibly dark stories that celebrities have told on podcasts, let me know. Are there any other ones that jog your memory? Okay, until next week, stay curious.